Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting ready for some serious time travel talk. We're looking at the making of a true classic, 1985's Back to the Future.
Yeah, it's a fascinating one.
Our mission today is to dig past the usual fun facts and really uncover how this thing almost didn't happen, or at least how it almost looked completely different. We're talking early scripts, some near catastrophes, and those big make-or-break decisions that basically rescued the film.
Absolutely. It's actually kind of shocking when you dig into it how much it changed. We're going to focus on two massive shifts.
Okay.
First, the time machine itself. You won't believe what it started as compared to the DeLorean.
Oh, I think I've heard whispers about that one. A kitchen appliance.
We'll get there. And second, the huge drama around casting Marty McFly, recasting mid-shoot, big deal.
Right, the Eric Stoltz story.
Yeah.
So this is really a look at creative risk, managing chaos almost, a shortcut maybe for you listening, to see how taking huge chances sometimes shapes movie history.
Exactly. So where did it all begin?
Let's start there, the spark. What was the actual origin?
Well, it goes back to about 1980. Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis, they were feeling a bit down after their film, 1941. Didn't do too well critically.
Right, the Spielberg film.
Yeah.
Got panned pretty hard.
Yeah. So Gale was apparently visiting his parents, found his dad's old high school yearbook, and just had this thought, what if I could go back and meet my dad as a teenager? Would we have been friends?
Huh. That simple idea?
That kernel, a kid going back, potentially messing things up with his parents' first meeting, that was the seed.
Okay, that sounds like the heart of the movie we got.
Yeah.
Sweet, a bit awkward.
Mm.
But you mentioned things changed a lot. The sources say, what, over 30 script versions?
Mm.
And those early ones were darker.
Oh, yeah, way darker. The first title that they kick around was Spaceman from Pluto.
Wow, okay. Very different vibe, more sci-fi.
Definitely heavier sci-fi.
Yeah.
And Doc Brown, he wasn't the quirky, slightly crazy but lovable inventor. Not at first.
How so?
He was written as a much more genuinely unhinged character. They actually based him on Sherlock Holmes from this book, The 7% Solution.
Which depicts Holmes as having serious issues, right? Addiction.
Exactly. So imagine Doc Brown, but with that kind of intense, maybe unstable edge.
Yeah.
Not quite the fun, wild-haired guy.
Okay, that's a major tonal shift. And the plot wasn't just about getting his parents back together.
Not entirely. The stakes were much higher, more thriller-like. Marty was dodging actual plutonium smugglers.
Mm-hmm.
And the climax, it involved him being present at and escaping from a nuclear bomb test in the desert.
Whoa, a nuclear test. That's heavy.
Super heavy. It was far more of a gritty sci-fi thriller than the, fun adventure comedy it became.
So it seems they pulled back from that high-concept stuff and leaned into the everyday becoming extraordinary, like Bob Gale said later.
Right, grounding it. Which, funny enough, leads us to that first wild idea for the time machine you mentioned.
Yeah.
The refrigerator.
The fridge. Okay, tell us about this. It sounds legendary in a weird way.
It really is. So in these early drafts, Doc's first working time machine wasn't a car. It was a modified refrigerator, like a big, bulky, lead-lined Frigidaire.
Lead-lined, why?
Well, protection, presumably. But the script details say it had a power converter inside. Marty had to physically climb into this thing.
Climb inside the fridge, yep.
Set the dials for 1955, slam the door shut, and Doc would then somehow transport this entire fridge.
And how did it get powered? You mentioned the nuclear test.
That's the craziest part. Doc would drive the fridge, probably on some kind of truck or platform, out to the Nevada test site.
Okay.
And the massive energy needed, the 1.21 gigawatts, was supposed to come from the atomic blast itself.
Get out. Seriously?
Yeah, seriously. The script even tried to justify it with some pseudoscience about refrigerators being temporally conductive because of their insulation, trying to make it seem ordinary, I guess.
That's wild. It sounds like maybe a cool, dark indie film concept, but you can just imagine the studio notes on that one.
Oh, absolutely. It got killed pretty quickly. Not because of the story, though.
No. Why then?
Liability. Pure and simple. The lawyers at Universal apparently just panicked.
About what? The nuclear blast?
No, about the fridge itself. They were terrified that kid watching the movie would see Marty climb into a fridge and then try it themselves. Hide in old refrigerators and suffocate.
Ah.
Right.
That makes a horrible kind of sense.
Yeah. Zemeckis later joked it was the worst product placement idea ever. Imagine Frigidaire dealing with that.
So a real-world safety concern killed the fridge idea.
Yeah.
But creatively, it must have caused problems too, right? If the plot needed Marty to, chase people around 1955.
Exactly. How do you do that in a giant stationary appliance that needs a nuclear bomb to work? You can't.
It needed to be mobile.
It absolutely needed wheels. If Marty has to interact with the past, fix his mistakes, chase down his mom, whatever, the time machine had to move. It needed to be fast, something you could, jump into and drive off in.
Like a car.
It's like a car. That practical need for mobility, for cinematic action, really forced their hand away from the fridge concept. The whole vibe changes when you can actually drive the time machine.
And this is where the DeLorean enters the picture.
Oh.
Was it just a lucky break?
Pretty much, yeah. Serendipity meets corporate synergy, maybe? Universal happened to have some kind of promotional deal cooking with the DeLorean Motor Company.
Which was famously struggling at the
Well,
time.
massively. But the car, the DMC-12, it just looked perfect. Stainless steel, gull wing, doors. It looked like it came from the future already.
It really did.
So it solved the liability problem, no kids climbing in, and it solved the mobility problem. Plus, it just looked incredibly cool. It was a win-win-win.
And that fridge idea, it didn't totally vanish, did it? Didn't Spielberg kind of nod to it later?
He absolutely did. Spielberg executive produced Back to the Future, of course, and then later directing Indiana Jones in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, that infamous scene where Indy survives a nuke inside a lead-lined fridge.
Yeah.
Total inside joke. A direct reference to the Back to the Future script that almost was.
That's brilliant. And didn't it pop up somewhere else too?
Uh-huh. In the Telltale video game adaptation, which is considered sort of canon, they revealed the fridge was actually Doc's first prototype, hidden away in his lab.
Nice little retcon.
But think about the energy difference. The car makes the whole movie feel like this high-octane joyride, right?
Yeah.
Chasing lightning, outrunning Libyans.
Is that it?
Compare that to, like, trucking a massive appliance out to the desert for one big contained moment. The car just gave it legs, literally, and probably made sequels possible.
Which brings us to the other huge and probably more painful change, the one that happened during filming. Marty McFly.
Oh, yeah. The recasting.
Zemeckis always wanted Michael J. Fox, right?
Yeah.
He seemed perfect.
He was the ideal from the start. Zemeckis saw him as this pint-sized everyman with sitcom sparkle, just had the right energy.
Yeah.
But Fox was totally locked into his contract for the TV show Family Ties. Paramount wouldn't let him go. He just wasn't available.
So they had to find someone else. Enter Eric Stoltz.
Right, Eric Stoltz. Very talented actor, Juilliard trained, getting a ton of buzz for the movie Mask.
He seemed like a good get.
Oh, definitely. He apparently nailed 5 auditions, charmed Spielberg, the whole deal. They signed him for $1 million.
$1 million. Wow. I read that was like 5 times what Fox eventually got paid. Why so much?
Well, Stoltz was being hired as the lead for a standard film shoot schedule. When they eventually did get Fox, it was under completely crazy circumstances because he was still doing Family Ties.
Right, the double duty thing.
Exactly. He was only available nights and weekends. His lower salary probably reflected the insane logistics and, union issues involved in making that schedule work, not necessarily his star power at the time. It was a unique situation.
So, okay. Filming starts October 84. Stoltz is Marty. They shoot for 5 weeks.
About that, yeah. Racked up something like $3 million worth of footage. They even shot the entire climactic clock tower sequence with them.
So what was wrong? Why change?
The tone. Zemeckis and the team started looking at the dailies, and they realized Stoltz was just too intense, too brooding.
Brooding for Marty McFly.
Yeah.
He was a method actor, very committed, but he was treating the material like it was this heavy, serious drama. The comedy just wasn't landing.
Any specific examples?
There are stories, like apparently in the scene where Marty skateboards and grabs onto Doc's truck, Stoltz actually punched Christopher Lloyd for real to feel the impact or something.
Oh, okay. Intense.
And he was supposedly really deep into researching 1950s slang and history, like academically brilliant, but maybe missing the light comedic touch.
I heard his delivery of lines like, "Mom, you're so young." Sounded less like a shocked kid and more like,
Like a therapy session, yeah. That's the description. It just wasn't funny. It wasn't charming in the way Marty needed to be.
They needed that wisecracking kid energy, not a deep, wounded soul. Exactly that. They realized they'd cast a great dramatic actor for what needed to be a light adventure comedy role. It was a fundamental mismatch. But imagine making that call 5 weeks in, millions of dollars spent.
Agonizing. So they had to go back to Paramount, beg for Michael J. Fox again.
Pretty much. And somehow, this time, they worked out that insane schedule. Fox would finish filming Family Ties around 5 or 6 p.m.
And then head straight to the Back to the Future set.
Yep. Film all night, sometimes until 4 or 5 in the morning, then grab a couple of hours sleep and do it all again. It was brutal.
Wow, and they had to reshoot almost everything Stoltz did.
About 80% of his scenes, yeah. They did it incredibly fast, like in 3 weeks or so, working those crazy overnight schedules. It was a massive undertaking.
What happened with Stoltz? Was it ugly?
Actually, no. By all accounts, Stoltz was incredibly professional about it. He apparently gracefully bowed out. He got paid about half his fee, I think, and didn't cause a big public fuss, which really helped the production.
That's good to hear. And they managed to blend the footage so well. Can you still spot any Stoltz bits?
If you look really, really closely, there are supposedly a few shots where you just see his hands on the DeLorean steering wheel, or maybe a blurry figure in the background during the Libyan attack scene, but mostly it's all Fox.
Amazing turnaround. And that wasn't the only near miss, right?
Yeah.
Other things almost changed.
Oh yeah, lots of little things got tweaked. Crispin Glover's character, George McFly, early drafts apparently had him as much edgier, maybe even like a beatnik poet type.
Really? Not the lovable nerd.
Nope. And the ending. The 1985 Marty Returns to wasn't always the nice, improved one. One version had him coming back to a kind of dark, punk rock-influenced future.
Huh. And Doc Brown could have been different too.
John Lithgow was considered, apparently. And there was even, in some super early concept phase, an idea to give Doc a chimpanzee sidekick named Sheila instead of Einstein the dog.
A chimp. Okay, thank goodness for rewrites.
Seriously, Sheila the chimp might have changed things a bit.
So when you put it all together, these two huge changes, ditching the fridge because of lawyers and swapping Stoltz for Fox because of tone, they really were like, well, flux capacitors for the movie's success.
That's a great way to put it. They took what could have been a kind of weird, maybe dark, contained sci-fi flick and steered it into becoming this huge, beloved generational thing. It shows that rewrites, even massive, painful ones, aren't failures, they're opportunities.
Yeah, finding the right path, even late in the game.
And think about the big picture implication of the fridge versus the car. With the fridge, the story is locked into that one event. Truck it to the desert, get the nuke power, travel once, it's contained.
Right, very specific, hard to repeat.
But the car, suddenly it's mobile, it's high energy, you can drive it anywhere, anytime, assuming you have plutonium or a lightning strike. It opens up the whole world, the whole timeline.
And that's the key, isn't it? For everything that came after. For the sequels.
Absolutely. If the time machine had stayed that massive, immovable fridge needing a nuclear test site, could you even imagine a franchise, sequels set in the future, the Old West?
No way. It just wouldn't work logistically. You couldn't tell those stories.
The DeLorean wasn't just cool looking, it was the engine of the entire franchise concept. That object, the car, made Back to the Future endlessly expandable.
So maybe the next time you watch it, think about that. The movie you love came this close to being about a kid hiding from plutonium smugglers inside a Frigidaire. And the difference came down to, what? Some legal worries and a really tough conversation about whether the jokes were landing.
The biggest lessons sometimes come from the things that almost went wrong.